Hello and welcome to the Treasury Takeaways Podcast. My name is Fritz. I am the Digital Director of Lending and Markets at Wells Fargo. I'm happy to be joined today by Matt Loos, who is the head of the Wire and Clearing product at Wells Fargo. We're coming to you live today from the floor of the AFP Conference in Nashville, Tennessee. Matt, thanks for joining me.
Chris, thanks for having me.
So what do you think of the conference this year?
I think the conference has been great. AFP always obviously brings in a variety of corporate treasurers, back office teams, and these days obviously fintech companies and technology companies looking to help banks, clients, and the entire ecosystem, I think, get better. And it's always exciting to see what's out there.
Yeah, I've really been surprised at the volume of folks coming through. Like, it's much higher than previous years. And it really brings an energy to the floor that was good last year, but it's even more this year.
Yeah, there's just so much change going on, and everybody's preparing for that change, and you can feel it.
So, Matt, what are you really excited about that you've seen so far this week?
There's the common themes that we're seeing out there, and this conference is really emphasizing that. Artificial intelligence, big discussion on that. I think really now getting down to use cases, which is quite interesting. Obviously, fraud and AI and the use cases of how you can solve some of the fraud challenges with artificial intelligence, the next level of artificial intelligence, and what does that mean for jobs and roles and how we all going to work in the future. And like I was saying, I think the use cases are becoming much more specific. I think many companies are investing in the base layer, which is the data, because in my opinion, not being a technologist, but there's two pieces to artificial intelligence. There's the data and getting that organized in a structured and manner that's usable, and then there's the models you can put on top of that. And I'm excited about how that technology is transforming in both of those areas. We've got massive investments in both of those areas as well. Focus from my perspective in the payment space, with all the data we get from transactions, how do we get that data in a way that's usable and manageable? Obviously ISO helps with that. ISO is the foundation to get that data right. And now with all the models you could put on top of that data, you can get very powerful learnings and value from it for yourself and for clients.
Yeah, I think you really nailed that as far as that is what everybody's talking about. Like, it's even showed up in the names of some of the companies. Every session or conversation I've been in has had an AI component to it. It's really kind of like the API topic that's been the theme for the past few years. Now everyone's just talking about AI. Beyond AI, what else are you hearing clients talk about?
Yeah, I think for me, particularly in the payment space, I think there's two big topics. There's instant payments and the speed of transactions and where that's going. And obviously with FedNow live in the US, we're starting to get where the rest of the world's been for many years. And then there's always that cross-border element as well, because cross-border historically has been quite complex. Obviously, you know, with FX, right, there's complexities that go in there. And I think now you're starting to see the two actually merge together. Yeah. Where it's about how can you bring the domestic capabilities of speed and instant into a cross-border world. And it sounds very easy, and actually technically it's not a challenge in this day and age. Yeah. There's a lot of regulatory and other things that come into this that we've got to solve. And I think you start seeing corporate treasurers really trying to see where that future is going to go. And for us at Wells Fargo, it's how do we help them transform without needing major technology investments?
Right.
How do you not have to take and redo all of your back-end systems and rebuild them? How do we build value for them that they can use today?
Yeah, no, I think that's really right on. One of the things I've seen is an expressed desire to componentize the whole process. So the wire is the delivery vehicle, but say the rate conversion piece, how do you build that in a way that you can do a spot, you can do a more elaborate contract, or you can just do same currency, right? It's still the same vehicle, you just add different things into it. That seems to be what clients are looking for. And one of the topics I'm hearing this year being much more prevalent is around how do you manage your cash that's sitting in your accounts for more than a day. So from a global perspective, how do you put it all in the same currency, or do you have it in multiple currencies? And whether different type of investment vehicles you put that in for 1 to 3 days, 3 to 6, or out to 2 years, and how does that all flow together? And you get past the traditional treasury products more into the investing products. And a great seminar yesterday hearing clients talk about how they manage that when sometimes they do and sometimes they don't have trained investment professionals on their teams.
Yeah.
So how do they work in that scenario?
That's where if you start thinking about the speed of moving the transactions to maximize that liquidity benefit in multiple locations, how can you centralize some of that, leverage some of the new pay types to move that money later in the day,
yes,
to get benefits of liquidity at end of day, But I also think that's where we're going to go from a Treasury perspective as well. It's going to be about paying last.
Yeah.
And there's going to be this fear of if I'm the last one who figures out these solutions, then I'm going to be the last one taking benefit of the liquidity,
yeah,
or actually getting penalized because I'm not maximizing my cash usage. And that gets super complex when you're global. And so connecting all of these in a very concise way and helping treasurers manage that real time versus a day later or 2 days is really what's happening now.
All right, Matt. So what are some of the challenges you're hearing about today, and what are the possible solutions to those challenges?
I think a number one challenge you start hearing is there's so much change going on, whether it's regulatory. For me, in the wire space, as we kind of migrate to an ISO format, we've done the same thing the same way for a very long time. So finding subject matter expertise that can really navigate the new. And then with all the technology change, as a product manager, you really have to become much more technology savvy,
yeah,
and understand we're moving to agile development and build that is at speed and at pace with the change in the market, whether that's for client needs or for regulatory purposes. And so finding those experts that have sort of the expertise that you need at the base core, how does a wire work, how does a ACH, what's different with instant, and then being very technology savvy to figure out how are we going to transform that into a future that's going to look different. It's not going to happen overnight, but we have to have that vision of where we need to get to in 3 to 5 years to remain competitive. And for treasurers, that's always pretty consistent with how do they do more with less.
Yeah, I'm with you there. You know, talking to clients and hearing from them as they, on their side, attempt to figure all of this new out and how it fits into their long-standing practices, and then they work with their suppliers and their clients themselves, how they bring that all to bear in, you know, let's be honest, the treasury groups and companies are usually not first in line for technical resources. So how they manage that scarcity and the increasing financial complexity is a real challenge for them. And I think that's a place where we as a bank and other banks can really step up for them and help make this process easier.
For sure, 100%.
So Matt, thanks for joining us today here at AFP. It's great to get some on-the-spot feedback on the floor, so to speak. Great having you. And
thank you for having me.
Global Treasury Management products and services are provided by Wells Fargo Bank N.A. Wells Fargo Bank N.A. is a bank affiliate of Wells Fargo & Company. Wells Fargo Bank N.A. is not liable or responsible for obligations of its affiliates. Deposits held in non-U.S. branches, subsidiaries, or affiliates are not FDIC or CDIC insured. Deposit products offered by Wells Fargo Bank N.A., member FDIC.